Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm excited to be doing this with everyone here. I can see 11 persons have joined already. So I guess what's going to happen is we're going to wait for maybe 2 more minutes to get other people to join us, and then
Or maybe 2 more minutes.
we can start. Is that okay? Okay, so we have 22 persons right now. So in 2 minutes, then we can kick off this session immediately. Please, if you can hear me clearly, kindly indicate in the chat so I'm sure that my technology works properly. Okay. Thank you, Halimat, for confirming that. Okay. Thank you, Michael, Dikachi, and Irene. That looks good. Okay. Okay, so I think it's time. 36 persons are here, so I think we should just start the session right now. So I have a presentation that I've done prepared, so I would share my screen and then we can kick it off. Okay. Okay, so welcome once again to the Study Key by Mundus Consults online webinar. And today's session is for us to talk about how you can get a UK master's degree or get admitted to a UK master's degree program with a second class lower, a third class, or a HND degree. And the reason why this is important is because for most countries in the world, like the US and the Canada, it is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to get admitted to a master's degree program if you have a second class lower degree, or if you have a third class degree, or you have an HND. And so the UK offers, for most people, a good opportunity for them to further their education regardless of what their first degree or undergraduate degree classification was. So what I want to do today is to provide a practical guide based on our experience advising students and working with lots of universities in the UK, is to advise you on how to navigate this process. Okay. So first thing first, my name is Martin Wakwe. I'm the founder of Study Key by Mundus Consult, which is an educational consulting firm. We have partnerships with lots of over 80 universities in the UK. So we help universities in the UK recruit international students. I've been in the study abroad advisory for 8 years, not just for the UK, for also the US and Canada. Advising students and helping them make informed decisions. The reason why we do this is because with immigration, the smallest mistake you make can cost you a lot. It can cost you thousands of dollars of pounds wasted. It could also cost you your time. So it's important that whatever decision you're making it from a point of sound information. And because there's also a lot of information out there today, most of those information are not correct. Some are incomplete. So you don't want to make an important decision in your life, a decision as important as furthering your education based on hearsay or based on what you saw in a WhatsApp group or what a friend told you. You want to be sure that whatever information you want to work on is one that can help you get the best out of your dreams. Okay. So, like I said, StudyKey is a student-focused advisory platform, and so we work with ambitious individuals to help them secure admissions to study abroad, UK, Europe, US, and Canada, and also help you navigate visa pathways. So, what we're going to learn today is I'm going to share like 3 UK study pathways that most people don't know about. Also going to I'll share with you some of the schools that accept, 2-2, third class, and the HND degree. Also look at some of the mistakes that will lead to rejection and what you truly need to get started with your, UK study abroad plans and the right steps for those who are serious to proceed. So the first thing I would say, just to get this out of the way, is that there are genuine opportunities, master's degree programs for those who have third class degrees. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Anybody who tells you if you have a third class degree you can't apply to universities in the UK, that person is not being truthful, or maybe the person does not have the right or the correct information. So there are options that exist, but you will need to know how to carefully navigate, find those options, and be able to present your case in the best possible light. Yes, please. If you have questions by the end of the presentation, I'm happy to answer as many questions as time would permit. Okay. Okay. So, from our experience working and advising students and working with universities abroad, the strongest routes for those who have, non who don't have 2-1 or first class degree are usually in education, business management, and environment. And the reason is because for these routes, your professional experience can compensate for your poor undergrad degree. But the most important factor, which I'm going to talk about for most part of this presentation, is that your relevant work experience is the primary way to strengthen your application. Okay. So if you have, let's say, third class degree, and one thing you can use to compensate for that is that you've gone ahead, to work in the industry, and you have evidence to back that up. You have letters of recommendation, that you can provide from where you're working, and that the work experience is also relevant to the program you want to do in the UK. Ideally, most programs will ask for 2 to 3 years of work experience, and you need to provide evidence in that regard. So let's look at the way that UK universities accept a third class degree. And what I did was I had to break it down into 4 different tiers, right? So tier 1 is you will find universities that gives you a very high likelihood of acceptance. If you have a third degree and a modest additional evidence like a personal statement and your CV, that is enough to get admitted to that program. Then you come to the tier 2. The tier 2 schools would accept anybody who has a third class degree plus additional 2 to 3 years of work experience, right? So the chances of getting admitted is, let's say 4 or 5. And then you have the moderate likelihood. And the moderate likelihood is for those who have third class degree and they have relevant work experience, and then the school then invites them for a possible interview. So now the barrier to entry is now a little bit higher. And then the last tier, which is the selective flexible, these are schools that you need to provide, in addition to having your class, you need to provide very strong supporting documents. You need to provide your CV, you need to provide letters of recommendation, and also you need to provide a written statement, explaining why your undergrad degree wasn't that great and your plans for your postgraduate education. right? So ideally, as you're looking at the schools that you want to apply to, you want to consider which of these tiers that the school fall under, because understanding which tier falls under helps you better prepare your application so that you don't get a rejection. So like I said before, what are the opportunities? One is in business, MBA and management. Second one is in education. Third one is in computing, data science, data analytics, AI, engineering, and then the last one is environment and sustainability. So these areas of endeavor are important because your professional experience can, like I said before, can cover for your lack of having a 2-1 or a 2-2. Okay, so let's say you're a computer, you finished from your first degree was in computer science and you finished with a third class or a 2-2 or a low 2-2, right? But you've gone ahead to work for, let's say, Flutterwave, and you have over 2-3 years of experience. You have your GitHub account that shows your level of expertise and proficiency in a particular programming language. That on its own can then compensate for lack of good academic grades in your undergrad degree. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Okay, so let's look at some of these programs, okay? Because the thing is, not all schools would accept candidates with third class, okay? And for the schools that accept candidates with third class, it is not all programs within those schools that would accept candidates with third class, okay? So if I tell you in Nottingham Trent University accepts candidates with third class, it doesn't mean that they do that for all their programs, right? Which is why you will need to do a lot of research or reach out to consultants, study abroad consultants like Study Key to help you with that research. So you're able to, because we have partnership with lots of schools in the UK, we have a database of all the universities, all the courses that they offer. We are able to help you do that research and give you exactly the courses within those respective schools that would allow you apply with whatever degree you have. And for those who are asking for those with only SSCE results, I think I've seen 2 questions regarding that. Yeah, so if you have SSCE results, what it means obviously is that you are going for an undergraduate degree, so a BSc degree or a BEd degree. And in that case, you do not have prior undergrad degrees, so you're going to be judged solely based on your high school transcript and your WAEC results. Okay, so if you have a good WAEC result, then you're more than eligible and qualified to apply to universities in the UK for your BSc. Yeah, and another question I'm seeing here is that some third class degrees are near 2-2. How about that? Yeah, so for most schools in Nigeria, the CGPA is over 5. Okay, so typically 2.5 and above would put you in a 2-1 or 2-2, 2-1 or first class position, and anything lower than 2-2, anything lower than 2.5 CGPA puts you in the third class. Okay, so the third class is the minimum, right? Anything above third class can get you admitted to schools in the UK. So if it is near 2-2, if it is high 2-2, low 2-2, third class, it can get you admitted to the US. Okay, so I'll go ahead with the presentation, and once I'm done, keep dropping your questions if you have any. Once I'm done with the presentation, I would go ahead and respond to as many questions as I can, okay? All right, so these are schools that would allow you apply, schools and programs where you can apply with the third-class degree. So the first one is an MA Education at the Nottingham Trent University. Second one is MSc Environmental Management at the Brunel University. But for the Brunel University, you will need to have relevant work experience. So if you're coming to us and you don't have work experience, you're fresh out of school, then your chances of getting admitted is almost 0. So if you have a third class, one of the things you want to focus on is to get a job in your field, right? And begin to get those relevant experience that will then form part of your application process. So if you don't have any now, then I'm sorry, there's nothing anybody can do about it. And for Brunel University, they would also invite you for an interview to understand your unique situation and why you want to go for this MSc program. So there's Middlesex University, and they have a program in international business management. They don't do interviews, so they give admissions directly to third class candidates. And then you have the King's College London for their MA Global Cultures program, University of Law, their MBA program, third class plus 3 years of experience in a supervisory role plus 2 letters of recommendations. Same thing with the MSc Project Management program at the University of Law. Some other schools that accept third class, University of Hull, specific programs in business management, digital marketing, advertising, logistics and supply management, artificial intelligence, and data science. For the Prifields Gold, Bangor University, MA Business Marketing, and MSc Management Finance. For University of South Wales, the only program that allows third class is MSc Management courses. And then University of Hertfordshire, you have the MSc Management with Logistics and Supply Chain, MSc Management with Digital Marketing, and MSc Management with Sustainability. So what are the other possible pathways? So assuming that you have, let's say, a very low third class degree, right? Or you've applied to some of these schools, and maybe because you don't have relevant work experience, your application was rejected. That doesn't mean that you can't pursue your study in the UK plans. Okay, there are also other opportunity or options available to you. So the first one is to enroll in a pre-master's program. Okay, so there are lots of pre-master's program, that would accept, even a pass, as long as you have a degree from university in Nigeria, you can enroll for a pre-master's program. You can enroll for a postgraduate diploma, or you can enroll for something called extended MSc. So for extended MSc, instead of doing the usual 1 year, you're most likely going to do more than a year. So most likely 2 years of master's program. And then lastly, you have like the special entrance for which is a special program that University College London also offers. So assuming that you want to apply, what do you need to apply to universities in the UK? And mind you, most of what I'm going to say here today would be relevant to even people who have first class or people who have second class upper. Okay, so it's not strictly for those who have third class. Okay, third class is the minimum requirement. But anything above that, you would find some of the things I'm going to talk about here today to be very relevant. And please keep your questions coming. By the time I'm done with this presentation, I would attend to all of the questions here. Okay, so the first thing you need, obviously, is your transcripts and your degree certificates, because this is what shows that you've completed. And this is for those who are looking at doing postgraduate programs, so master's and PhD. You need your transcripts, your transcript from your Nigerian institution. Okay, and ideally, you also need your WAEC or NICO results. Okay, the reason why you need your WAEC or NICO results is to show that you have a good use of the English language, and so that compensates for you not having written the IELTS or another test of English language. So if you have your WAEC or NICO results, most schools in the UK would waive the English language requirements. Okay, the next thing you need to do is to come up with the personal statements, which is something that we at Study Key can help you put together. Okay, if you don't have a fantastic degree, then your personal statement or statement of purpose would have to be solid. It has to be very detailed about your plans. Okay, what's your plan for a postgraduate program? Because the truth is, studying abroad is not like studying in Nigeria. Okay, it's a little bit more intensive, in terms of academic and coursework. Okay, so you need to be prepared for the academic rigor that comes with doing your master's or PhD abroad. So they want to understand if you have the capacity to do that. So your personal statement, this is where you now detail your plans and your motivation for graduate school. And this is something that we can help you at Study Key to put together. Also, you need 2 strong references. Those 2 strong references, one ideally should be from one of your lecturers or professors in your undergrad program, and then the second one would be from your place of work, where you've gotten work experience. And the third one is evidence of work experience. And so for evidence of work experience, you need your employment letter to show your roles and your responsibility. And you need to have done that job for between 2 to 3 years. For people in this category, I think this is your most important asset. Then you need your CV and resume, very detailed CV and resume, which is also something that we can help you at Study Key to put together at no cost. We do it completely free of charge for those who would apply or people who are serious, to apply to schools in the UK. And you want to apply through us and you don't have a good CV, or even have a CV and you want us to optimize your CV, format it properly, and make it highlights and show all of your strength and achievements. We are happy to do that when you reach out to us. And then the last one is the English language proof, which for most universities in the UK will waive that for Nigerians. Okay, for most people who want to study abroad or who want to study in the UK, the main consideration is money, right? Money is important because at the end of the day, you need money to do a lot of things. From the visa application process, you're going to pay money to UKVI, you're going to pay for your health insurance, you're going to pay your flight tickets, you're going to pay your tuition deposits, and then when you finally move to the UK, you're going to pay the rest of your tuition. So it's important that you understand that this is a huge financial decision that you're about to make, and you need to understand exactly, what it is for you. So two things you need to understand when you're looking at finances is one, your living expenses, and then your tuition fee, right? So the living expenses for those who are going to schools in the UK, UKVI expects that you should have or you should budget at least £1,500, okay, for every month up to 9 months. So £1,500 times 9 months. If you're going to live outside the UK, £1,171 times 9 months, okay? So you need to calculate that and figure out exactly what the total amount you will need for your living expenses would be, in addition to your tuition fee. Okay, in addition to your tuition fee. Now, when talking about tuition fee, there are also three things that students have to be concerned about. Okay, one is how much does the school charge for or for their tuition deposits? Because this varies, depending on the school you're applying to. Okay, so how much is the tuition deposit? That's one thing you should know about. The second thing you should know about is after paying the tuition deposits, the remaining tuition, how is the payment going to be like? Okay, is it going to be a one-off payment? Is it going to be a payment you make the moment you enroll in the school, or is it a payment that allows you, or do they have a payment plan where you can pay in multiple, installments? You need to understand all of these things, because it's not enough to say the tuition fee is $16,000. It could be $16,000, sorry, £16,000, but you have to pay in 2 installments. It could be £15,000, but you have to pay in 7 installments. So you also look at the flexibility for payments and what the tuition deposit is. Now, also something to look out for is that for most students, when they reach out to us, they are mostly concerned about tuition deposit. And they say, oh, I'm looking for a school that has like a lower tuition deposit, a tuition deposit of about £3,000, as if that is all that matters. Okay. And so you don't want to apply to a school with, let's say, a £20,000 tuition for a year, but let's say a 3,000 tuition deposit, as against a school with a tuition of £16,000, but a 5,000 tuition deposit. So what I would say is, as you're looking at tuition deposits, also be looking at the total tuition amounts, okay? So that you're not just saying, oh, let me get my CAS, apply for my visa, and then once you get to the UK, you then struggle to pay the rest of your tuition. You don't want to be in that kind of situation, okay? Especially if you're in a country where you don't have like family or friends that would, easily help you. So if you're struggling with finance, then you want to avoid universities in London. London is very expensive. London is very, very expensive. Accommodation is expensive. Transportation, feeding it's very expensive. So you also want to be very strategic with the location of the school. And this is something we're going to help you do when you reach out to us on WhatsApp. Trained advisors would help you based on your individual situation, because people's situations are different. Based on your unique situation, we're able to advise you on the best university to apply to and the best course to go to. And for some universities also, they have multiple campuses. So they have a campus in London. University of Sunderland, for example, they have a campus in London and they have one in Sunderland. So you also want to know the program you are applying to, which campus does it reside in. Okay, so you're not just saying, oh, because I'm applying to University of Sunderland, it means I will be in Sunderland. It doesn't work that way, which is why, in my opinion, you need a counselor, an experienced counselor, to put you through, answer all of your questions, and help you make an informed decision. Because the problem that most students have is that they make decisions based on hearsay, based on what somebody randomly posted on Facebook or what someone told them on WhatsApp. You need to make informed decision. And the beautiful thing is that a lot of the things that we are talking about today, and a lot of the things that we are also going to tell you when you reach out to us on WhatsApp, can be independently verified. Okay, you can independently verify it. So, for example, if we tell you the tuition fee for a school is £16,000, you can go to Google and search for that school, go to the school's website and verify for yourself. Okay, so any information that you get that cannot be independently verified, then you have to be very wary of that information and do not take any action without verifying that information. Okay, so for the 2026, for those who are, and I want to believe that most people here are interested in the September or October resumption. So this is what the timeline looks like. So today is 1st of May. You want to use the first maybe 1 to 2 weeks of May to finalize a short list of all the schools that you think you want to apply to, based on location, based on the specific course that you want to do, and based on tuition, right? So based on location, based on the specific program you want to do, and based on the tuition amount. So you want to shortlist all of those schools. So reach out to us on WhatsApp and we can help you with that shortlist free of charge. And let me state this, that we at Study Key, we do not charge students, okay? Our services are 100% free, okay? We do not charge you. We are not going to charge you a dime from writing your personal helping you write your personal statement to your CV. We do not charge you a dime. We're going to help you with the entire process up until when you get your visa. So from doing your research and finding out what school you want to apply to applying to those schools, to helping you with your CV, helping with your resume, helping with your personal statements, helping you prepare for your visa, helping you prepare for your interview. We are not going to charge you a dime. And I'm sure some people will be wondering, okay, if you're not charging us a dime, how are we making money as a business, right? And so for full disclosure, and it's important that we let our clients understand this, is that we have partnership with almost all the universities in the UK. Almost all the universities. We have about 80 plus partnerships right now, okay? And so the partnerships we have with university is that we are able to recruit students for those universities, and those universities in turn will pay us, okay? So our payment comes from the university and not from the students. And the university only pays us after the students have enrolled in the school, right? So what it means is that we both have shared interests. Our interest is to help you to be able to apply to the school, help you with all the information you need so that you can enroll, because it is only when you enroll that the school pays us, right? So both of us, we have, as a business and the candidates and the students we work for, we have shared interests. Our interest is to help you succeed, okay? Which I guess is also your interest, is you want to go to the UK and succeed there. All right. So in June, you want to start putting in your application. If you have to write IELTS, you want to, get your IELTS out of the way. You want to complete your personal statements, and you want to submit all of those applications. Okay. And then in July, this is for those who don't have fantastic undergrad degree. Let's say you have a low third class or even a pass, and you are not able to get into a direct master's program. In July, you can then start looking at like other pathways that I mentioned before, like the pre-masters, the foundational program, and you also want for those who've gotten admission, you also want to start preparing like your bank statements and all the documents that you need for your visa applications. If you're reaching out to references, you also want to follow up with them and make sure that they've submitted letters of recommendation. By August, typically you should have accepted your offer from the school and you should have paid your tuition deposits. You should have done your precast interview, which is something we are seeing lots of universities in the UK are doing right now. Is that after getting your admission, they schedule you for a precast interview. And basically, what they do at the precast interview is to find out if you are really a genuine student, if you have intentions of coming to the UK to study. Because there are cases where you see someone get admitted, get a visa to the UK, and then get to the UK and then they abandon their school. Okay, so UKVI, they are very right now. The UKVI, they are very serious about only giving visas to people who are genuine students. Okay, so which is why schools in the UK have been mandated to make sure that they do their due diligence on students who are coming to the UK to study. Okay, so you're going to hear that universities in the UK are inviting students for interviews. They call it credibility interview to understand your situation and to be sure that you're actually coming to the UK to study. You're coming to the UK to study, and then by September you should have gotten your visa and made plans to fly to the UK. Okay, so these are the three bucket application strategy that I also talked about. The first one is direct admission. You want to apply to maybe two programs, direct admissions to the school for a master's program. The second one is you want to look at programs that require 2 or 3 years of relevant work experience, which is assuming that you have that. And then the last pathway is if you don't have work experience and you're not able to apply to a direct program, then you want to consider a pre-master's program, an extended master's program, or a postgraduate diploma program. Okay, let's talk about writing a personal statement. Because I said for most people who don't have a good undergrad degree, you need to have a winning personal statement, which is something we're going to help you do. So the first thing is that it has to highlight some of the academic modules where you did very well in. So when you look at your transcripts and there are specific courses that you had an A or an B, you want to highlight and talk about that in your personal statements. You want to show how those subject areas aligns with the program that you want to do. You want to talk about your professional achievements ever since you graduated. You want to talk about some of the projects that you've owned and your decision-making skills. You also want to talk about some of the additional skills, trainings that you've been able to acquire. And then if you have like any professional qualification like the ICANN for those who are into accounting, Korean for engineers, NIM for people who are into management, you also want to mention all of those professional accomplishments. And like I said, we can help you put together all of these things. By the time we get all of this information from you, we can work with you and help you prepare a winning personal statement. Things you shouldn't do. Don't spend your time just apologizing for the grade. It's not necessary. Don't be vague. You want to be very specific about the rules, the handle, the projects you worked on, and the specific outcomes. And most schools will give you a word limit. So if a school tells you that your personal statement should not be more than 500, they mean it. It shouldn't be more than 500. So you want to stick to the word limit. And don't forget to connect your Nigerian work context to your goals in the UK. So before I begin to respond to the questions in the chat, like I said, I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. If you would love to work with us on your UK study journey, please send us a message on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is 090155 Send us a message with send UK webinar as a message to our WhatsApp number. A counselor would respond to you and most likely schedule like a one-on-one consultation with you to understand your situation and to be able to provide guidance help you shortlist a list of schools, help you write a personal statement, help you with a visa application, and provide with you support, along the entire process. Okay, so I'll look at the questions we have on the chat and I'll respond to as many as I can. So someone is asking about do they give full scholarship? Okay, so let's talk very briefly about scholarship. Even though we're going to have a session, maybe sometime next month that'll be dedicated solely on like getting scholarships. Now, the truth is that scholarships are very limited in the UK. Okay, scholarship opportunities are very limited and they are competitive. Okay, and most scholarships are also merit-based scholarships. So merit-based scholarship meaning only those who merit those scholarships will be able to get the scholarships. So I'll give you an idea. Most schools in the UK would have maybe one or two fully funded scholarships that they give out to international students. Maybe one or two. Now imagine having just one scholarship for, let's say, 1,000 applicants. You understand that the chances of getting that is 0.00001%. Okay. So for you to stand a chance, you need to have a fantastic profile. So you need to have like a first class or a high 2-1. You need to have relevant work experience. You need to have worked on projects. You need to have like a perfect personal statement. So it is very competitive. Okay. So if your only bet to studying in the UK is via scholarship, then your chances are very slim. Okay. What you will find out is that there are schools in the UK that offer discounts. So a discount is different from a scholarship. A scholarship is merit-based, while a discount is not. Some of the schools that we partnership offer discounts as high as £10,000. So, and let's say the tuition is £23,000. We have a school that offers a discount of £10,000 out of the £23,000 scholarship. We have schools that offer discounts of £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, but not fully funded. Okay, so it's just a discount out of the entire tuition fee. So someone asked, what of Plymouth University? What about Plymouth University? I'm not sure that question is complete. Okay, sorry, let me go back. Okay, so someone asked, oh, there are lots of questions here. Hold on. Yeah, so I already answered those that have SSCE program. I finished the not to what are my chances? You see, yeah, so I already answered that. Fully funded scholarships are very limited and competitive. How does the UK evaluate transcripts? Because Canada evaluated a near third to 2-2. So it depends on the specific university. But most schools in the UK would classify 2-2 to be 2.5. Sorry, most schools in the UK will classify second class upper degree to be 2.5 to 3.5. So between 2.5 to 3.5 is your 2-2, 3.5 to 4.5 is your 2-1, and 4.5 to 5.0 is your first class. Okay, so 2.5 to I think 1.5 is your third class, and then anything below that would be a pass. I think the UK evaluation process is pretty much similar to that of Nigeria, and so the evaluation is not as complicated as the UK, as the US, or Canada. Someone is asking if you have a high 2.2. So I guess what you mean by high 2.2 is your CGPA is closer to 2.5. Okay, like I said, if you don't have work experience, then your chances for getting the direct master's program is very limited. And what you can do instead is to go for a pre-master's program or a foundational program. Can I use NACO instead of WAEC? Yes, of course you can. You can use a NACO instead of a WAEC. And then someone is asking, what of those with ROM? So I guess ROM is registered midwife. and registered nursing. Yeah, so there are schools in the UK. There are some of the schools that we have partnership with that would let you do a program if you a nursing program, adult nursing program, if you already have a registered nursing certificate from a college of nursing in Nigeria. So yeah, we have options like that. Reach out to us on WhatsApp, and we can help you with a short list of those schools. Someone is asking, what of WIAC or JAM results? You don't need the JAM results. What you need is your WIAC results, your WIAC or your NECO results. Someone is saying, my course is not even related to any of these courses. What can I do? I don't know what your course is, so I won't be able to advise you without having knowing exactly what your course is. So I'll advise you reach out to us on WhatsApp, and we can help you with an answer to that. What of a tutu with no work experience? A tutu with no work experience is good to go. Yeah, you don't need a work experience if you have a. Oh, sorry, I think that was the earlier question. Yeah, so if you have high tutu, you don't have work experience. You can apply. Most schools in the UK would give you admission. If you have a tutu, but if you have a third class and you don't have a work experience, then it becomes really difficult to get a direct masters. So Beauty Angel, yeah, tutu with no work experience, you can't get admitted to most schools in the UK. Already talked about fully funded scholarship. It appears there are lots of questions here around scholarships. What about nursing? I'm having 2.97, please. Yeah, so 2.97 is a decent 2 degree. And so I don't know if your 2.97 degree is in a health related field. If it's in a health related field, then you stand a very high chance of getting admitted and can help you navigate all the options that you have. How about having a degree in education, then go for NYC in a school? Can that be used as a work experience? Obviously, yeah, you can, as long as you're able to get a letter of recommendation from maybe the principal of the school, showing, or talking about your experience as a teacher and some of the achievements that you were able to record in the school. Then you can use that. Unfortunately, that would count for as 1 year of experience, and typically you want to target at least 2 years of work experience. Most schools in the UK are scared of accepting students that have a visa refusal based on not being genuine. When applying to a different university, is it advisable not to declare the refusal to the school? So they would eventually find out. Okay, they would eventually find out, because most of the schools or all the schools in the UK, interfaces with UKVI. Okay, so they are going to find out. So you don't want to disclose. You don't want to hide that from the school. Okay, what some of the schools that we have partnership with will do is that they will invite you for a credibility interview. Okay, before they issue their cards to you, and they would have to look at like the specific reasons why your visa was denied, and then based on the response to the answer questions they've asked you, they would then be able to advise on how to go about it. Okay, so disclose that to the school. We have schools that will invite you for an interview, regardless of the fact that you've been refused before, and they can help you, with the way forward for that. Someone asked about Plymouth University. I'm not sure what the question is. Someone asked, what school in the UK is best for engineers? I don't know what's, engineering is a very broad field, computer engineering, petroleum engineering, civil engineering. I don't know what area of engineering you're talking about, but if you reach out to us on WhatsApp, our counselors will be able to guide you and help you with the best options, depending on your tuition fee, location in the UK, and the specific course you're interested in. Okay, so someone is talking about like MRES courses that allow dependents. Yeah, so there are very few courses or schools in the UK that would allow you to come to an MRES program, which is a master's research program in the UK. I think maybe we should also dedicate another session to talking about MRES, because we are beginning to see lots of students who are interested in MRES program. And I know the reason for that is because they want to travel with their dependents. Okay, so one thing I need to state clearly is that MRES programs are research heavy and research intensive programs. Okay, meaning that the getting admitted to an MRes program is not as easy and stressful as getting admitted to an MSc program. Okay, because you're coming to do a research, so you're coming to work with a professor and to do a research in this particular field. Okay, so for most schools, they would want to interview with you. So the professor or the lecturer, who is in charge of that program, would want to interview with you to understand if you have like research skills, research experience that will be helpful to the research they are doing. So if you know you don't have strong research experience, if you don't have published work already, it will be difficult for you to get admitted to an MRS program. Remember, there are very limited MRS programs in the US, very limited, and there are thousands of people who are looking for an MRS program. Okay, so let's say a typical program accepts only 50 students in a particular session. I'm sure there are about 200 or 300 students applying for those 50 slots. So it is very competitive. Okay. So, but if you have research experience, you have published work, and you're looking for an MRS program that you want to apply to in the UK, send us a message on WhatsApp and we can help you navigate that. Someone said 1.5 to 2.4 second class. Oh, no. I'm sorry if I said that. 1.5 to 2.49 is, sorry, 1.5 to 2.49. I think should be third class, second class lower is 2.2 to 3.5, 3.5 to 4.5 is 2.1, and 4.5 to 5.0 is first class. I have a low 2.2. Do I have a high chance of getting admission? You have a chance of getting admission, but not a high chance. In my undergrad, I studied international studies and diplomacy. Can I study international human rights for my master's degree? Yes, I can see, the intersection of both international studies and international human rights. So I think that works. What about law undergrad? Yeah, you can apply to schools on law if you're interested in doing a law degree. I think most of the questions here are repetitive, so. Someone is asking of having a few months of internship. A few months of internship is not enough. Ideally, you want to target 2 years of work experience if your CGPA is very low. Yeah, so most of the questions here are repetitive. Yeah, someone is asking, must the schools I teach be a very big school here in Nigeria? No, it mustn't be a big school. There's no requirement as to how big the school has to be. As long as you can provide evidence, your offer letter and your letter of recommendation, then I think that is more than enough. Someone is asking if we only help master's students. No, we help postgraduate students, undergrad students, so BSc, MSc, PhD. We can help you with all of that. Okay, so I think we'll take just a few more questions and then we can wrap this up in 5 minutes. Someone said I actually have lots of questions. Yeah, send us a message on WhatsApp and be rest assured that we can answer all of your questions. Dave is saying, I graduated with a 2.55 CGPA. Can I do a direct master's? Yes, you can. A 2.55 CGPA is more than 50%. So you can get a direct master's and we can help you do that. Someone said, please, I graduated with a third class. Can I do my master's? I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the session, but I already talked about that. What you can do if you have a third class. You need third class plus relevant work experience, plus, well edited, formatted, and written CV, plus a well-written, powerful personal statement, and also letters of recommendation. So we can help you do that. Okay, yeah, so next time, and please, if you're not on our WhatsApp group, maybe I can ask, we can paste the WhatsApp group in the chat so that you can join our WhatsApp group, or send us a message on send us a WhatsApp message on 0901559760. and we'll add you to the WhatsApp group. We're going to do this webinar sometime, maybe towards the end of this month. We're going to do another webinar, and maybe the next one we can talk about MRES programs, or any other area that a lot of people are interested in. Okay, so some of the questions I'm getting here are, very specific questions that we can only answer when you reach out to us on WhatsApp. And so please feel free. Like I said, the services that we offer is completely free of charge. We're not going to take a dime from you. Every single payment you're going to make, you're going to pay directly to the school, or directly to UKVI. You're not paying a dime to us. Our job is to assist you, help you do the research, get all your documents ready, and apply to the schools. Okay. All right. So I think we've done 50 minutes, and I think it's been a good use of our time. Thank you very much, and I hope to see. For those who are serious, because we love to work with only serious students. If you know you're serious, you have all your documents ready, your transcripts, your WIEC results, NICO results, and you're ready to start the process today. Send us a message, and we are more than happy to help you achieve your UK, studying the UK dreams. Thank you very much, and see you guys